3rd
All right,
District.
so just listening there into officials earlier, the mayor was speaking there. Really quick update here for you. So we understand, of course, they're urging people, if there's an evacuation order, to get out. If there's a warning, prepare to get out. Talking about this is a historic fire. Just to give context, she referred to early in the morning, 10 acres were on fire. Within 12 minutes, that expanded to 200 acres. So that's the extent of how strong these winds are. We've mentioned there that none of the fires have been contained. We've now heard from the mayor that the Woodley Fire is under control, so some good news there, but certainly extreme devastation as we're hearing right across that region there. CNN's Lee Waldman is live in Pacific Palisades this evening. She joins me now. Lee, appreciate your time. Just the scene behind you there just speaks volumes, and of course you having to be massed there, but walk us through sort of the biggest driving factors of these fires and sort of what you're hearing from people.
Good to be with you. The biggest driving factor that we're seeing is this wind. This wind is taking embers from one building that's on fire and lighting another building that wasn't previously on fire. I'm going to move out of the way so you can see exactly what we're seeing here. This building behind us that's on fire right now, there was a hair salon that was on fire. That is completely gone at this point. The building next to it was a gallery. Over an hour ago, the fire wasn't as significant. I walked over towards that building, the inside of it completely devastated by this fire. These fires are driven by wind. There was 3 fires when we took off today, then there was 4, now there are 5 wind-driven fires at this point. It's also extremely dry throughout LA County. It's supposed to be the rainy season right now, but there's not been any significant rain. There's also low humidity. It's a lot of different factors at play, all creating the perfect wildfire storm here for this community, and it's really hampering firefighters' efforts. What's also hurting efforts here in the Pacific Palisades specifically, the hydrants went dry here this morning. So we've seen fire crews driving through here. They sprayed quickly that building, but the fire hydrants are dry here.
And certainly, of course, with all of that, as you mentioned, the dry fire hydrants, the wind, that having, hurricane force winds is what we're hearing from officials there, causing major challenges. So with that now, how is it impacting those resources? Is really, as you mentioned, one building to another, they're having a tough time catching up.
Exactly. We heard from the LA fire chief earlier, and they said we can deal with 2 fires right now, but these 2 fires exploded into now 5 wind-driven fires. They're having to call in crews from out of state. The National Guard's been called in. Now the Navy is sending in helicopters to try and get these fires under control. It's a horrendous situation. Crews are working around the clock to try and get this under control here.
All right. CNN's Lee Waldman for us live from Pacific Palisades this evening. Lee, you and your crew stay safe. Thank you for this. CBC's Aaron Collins is on the ground in LA.
The Los Angeles area is pretty much surrounded by fires. Smoke and flames encroaching on the city's suburbs to the north and the east. I'm in Santa Monica on the very edge of the evacuation zone for the Palisade fire. From here you can see the smoke from the fire heading out to sea. People here waiting to see if they will need to head out too. An ominous start to an historic day. The city of Los Angeles surrounded. 3 major fires burning in the area. The city's residents scrambling.
My neighborhood is entirely burnt down. My elementary school is probably burnt down. My high school just burnt down. And my middle school might burn down.
The fire was basically encircling us. You could hear explosions all around us, and the fire was kind of rapidly moving down Bienvenida and towards our house. So I'm kind of glad I got out when I did.
But getting out, not easy. Infrastructure across the city struggling. Power down in some areas. Roads clogged, adding to the panic.
We got in the car to go, and then all the cars were abandoned, so I had nowhere to go. So I just had to get out of my car and start walking. The smoke is so bad.
Failing infrastructure, a big problem for firefighters here. In some areas, crews running out of water to beat the flames back. Resources and manpower on the ground stretched thin.
The main priority right now for us is actually rescuing and protecting lives. Saving homes is number 2. So we're trying to do our best job to deal with the circumstances. But right now, these winds, as you can feel right now, they're just unrelenting.
Well, this fire fanned by winds not seen in this area for a decade. Overnight, reaching 160 kilometers an hour, grounding firefighting crews, pushing the flames further into LA.
Last night was one of the most devastating and terrifying nights that we've seen in any part of our city at any part of our history. Fire literally jumping roads, taking out structures.
Well, this is already the most destructive fire in the history of the city of Los Angeles. More than 1,000 homes destroyed, the first deaths now being reported, and the flames keep spreading, fanned by strong winds that are expected to keep blowing. Aaron Collins, CBC News, Los Angeles.
Our next guest is on the Hollywood Hills, and despite his property not being impacted by the fire, he is surrounded by flames and destruction. Shaun Majumder is a Canadian actor and comedian. Shaun, really appreciate you giving us your time. I know it has been extremely difficult for you, your family, the neighbors in the area. Giving our viewers a sense here, you're actually on top of your roof. So describe to us, what you're seeing, what you can show us, and sort of what you've been experiencing.
Well, yeah, I am so much luckier and blessed to not have gone through the terror that a lot of people on the west side have gone through. And also, right behind me is the Altadena fire. If you can see way out there in those hills up in this area, this is where I'm pretty much right between both, almost equidistant between both. I'm in an area that has all kinds of trees, and Griffith Park is right here. I was just talking to my neighbor. He told me that his neighbor, not his neighbor, but his really good friend who I've met at his house before, has actually lost his house completely in Pasadena area, Altadena. The biggest thing for me weren't the flames, it was the wind. Last night, we knew that the fire was happening over there, and also we knew what the potential could be if something sparked right here. We're right next to a massive forest. It was the winds. It was like 100-kilometer-an-hour winds. The whole house was shaking. And I went out last night and I was like, wow, this is serious. I've never felt this kind of wind here before. Then when I woke up this morning, I saw smoke, and I went down and I've actually provided your producers with some pictures and video. And I was really concerned about that. But man, it was definitely scary knowing what potentially could happen. The ground is a tinderbox, like it's dry. If you've ever tried to make a fire out in the woods, you know that this is the stuff you need desperately to start a fire. I'm from Newfoundland, and there's a lot of wet there, and you need dry. This place is all kindling.
Yeah, and we're just those images that you're talking about, Shaun, we're showing them to our viewers right now. And just the wind, as you point out, is really the catalyst here and sort of carrying those flames. We heard from our journalist who's out there as well covering this, Steve Frederman, talking about sort of the how high these winds are. How are you and your family doing? Are you safe? Have you thought about evacuating?
No, but we're thinking about moving to Canada. I think now's the time.
Come on back.
No, I think we're serious.
Yeah.
It's definitely going to be happening. I mean, between the fires and the potential earthquakes and, it's just the political situation is really interesting too. And I have 2 daughters now, and, we want to find a place that is not quite as on edge. These fires definitely have put a pin in that and made us kind of rethink where we want to be. And who knows, getting up there in the 51st state, known as Canada. So I don't mean to laugh, but I can't believe that's even a thing that people are talking about. But anyway, yeah, no, we're fine. We are healthy. Our house is safe. We are blessed, man, because I'm hearing these stories that Steve was talking about and many other people. We are beyond blessed. It could have gotten really serious really fast. That's the thing. It happens so fast. You could think, oh, there's just a little smoke over there, and then boom, it's an inferno. And that's what a lot of these people were facing out west. So
what's the air quality like? I know you're outside there right now with all the winds and I mean we don't obviously see the smoke that is around you, but what's the air like? Is it heavy? Can you feel it? Can you taste it?
Oh yeah, no, my eyes are definitely stinging. I've been out here for a while, and we are downwind. So right here, the wind is to my back, And that fire, you can even see how gray and kind of murky it is. And then over there, those hills, they're all bright, sunny day up there. That's beautiful sun. That's intense. And, the sun is setting over behind the camera. And no, it's definitely not great air quality.
The fires have not been contained yet. There's 5 fires right now. How long have you been living in that area, and how does it compare then, I guess, to what you've experienced before? Wildfires, we know it's an annual thing, and we get that here, as you know, in Canada as well. But as we heard from Steve, this is completely unprecedented.
Yeah, my first house that I owned, we're kind of in a valley here, and I was on the other side of the valley. And I remember when we first moved into that house in like 2005, there was a fire that marched down this hill right here. It marched down this hill, and we were watching it from our window, my wife and I, Shelby, and we were like, wow, thank God we're not over there. And that was way back then. And so we've not had any major fires since then, thank God. But I think this definitely compares. Everybody I'm talking to, all the neighbors, everybody is on a much higher level of and it's definitely an elevated level, one of the worst ever, as it's being reported as well.
I want to get you.
I knew it was bad.
Yeah, I want to get you back inside, because as you mentioned there, the winds, and I don't want your eyes to get too bad. But what are you watching for now, Shaun, in the coming days? I guess in terms of the weather, the fires, and of course any decisions you and your family are going to be making.
Well, we're hoping that there's no sparks in this area, although sparks were flying this morning when I was dropping my daughter off at school, because we were going to go to school. We made the decision, and we get down to the bottom of the hill, and a huge tree had toppled over, tearing down all the wires and the hydro wires in that area. We have no power now. We still don't have power. And so that was like, okay, that's all it takes is one spark. This place is up in flames. So we're going to be very much on guard, waiting, checking, making sure we're okay. And if we have to bolt, we'll bolt. And I hope there's a place we can stay in Canada.
Well, you know what? We're wishing you well. We're wishing you safety. There's always a place here in Canada for you and your family, our beautiful independent country, as I'm going to highlight there. Shaun, thank you so much for this. You take care. We might be checking in with you later on in the week as well. Shaun Majumder is a Canadian actor, comedian, joining us from Los Angeles. Stay safe.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.